Hey, yo, guys, what's up? And welcome to the 2025 NASCAR season. Lots going to be in store for this season, particularly some new drivers in different places. And today we're going to get into some different predictions for this year. I've selected these 10 predictions, not necessarily to be the most accurate, but just off of gut feeling. Off of gut feeling, I think at least 6 or 7 out of these 10 will happen. You may disagree with them. You may agree with them. Let me know down in the comments which ones you agree with and which ones you disagree with. With that being said, guys, let's hop into the intro. Hop straight into prediction number 1. I think that it is going to be quite a tough year for the 2311 gang. Coming off of a tough offseason where you guys, basically we have a big lawsuit going on, and although nothing really changes, they're still going to keep their charter status coming into 2025. I think guys like Tyler Reddick are going to have a tough time this year. Tyler Reddick last year, they had all the momentum, an up and coming team, but you look this year and you got a lot of distractions. How well did this team manage the offseason? You've got a whole new headquarters down in North Carolina at Airspeed. I'm not sure if Tyler Reddick and Bubba Wallace are going to be 100% prepared for the season. Bubba Wallace, he didn't make the playoffs last year, and I don't think Bubba Wallace is going to make the playoffs this year. And I do think Tyler Reddick, although he's going to have a good year, probably makes the Elite 8. He's not going to have that regular season championship winning season like he did last year. So only time will tell. But that brings us to prediction numero dos, which is these, let's just call them sophomores. I know Ryan Preece may not technically be a sophomore, but Ryan Preece, he is in a brand new car this year, the number 60 with RFK Racing. Carson Hocevar, again, having another shot with Spire Motorsports to improve on the year that he had last year. And I think the real dark horse is going to be Zane Smith. Now, he's on a different team this year, but I do think that Zane Smith is going to come out of the gate for Front Row Motorsports strong and keep rising. I think he might potentially snag one of those top 16 playoff spots. Only time will tell again. So Smith, Hocevar, Preece will have career years this year. And that brings us to numero tres in this count up. And that is going to be probably my biggest prediction. I did a little bit of a deep dive on the qualifying results last year and just the strength of the cars coming in. I think this number 19 car for Chase Briscoe is really gonna bode well for him. Chase Briscoe in that 19 car, which got the pole at Phoenix in 2024 and qualified very well in the Elite 8 races leading up to the Championship 4. I think Chase Briscoe bringing a lot more fire and, the desire to actually prove himself is going to be an absolute force to be reckoned with in that 19 car. After Martin Truex Jr. steps out of it, I think Briscoe is going to make the Championship 4, and he is going to finish second at Phoenix to the driver that wins the championship, which I will be revealing shortly. But before we reveal the 2025 NASCAR Cup Series champion, let's go to prediction number 4, which is that Mr. Christopher Bell is going to make that Championship 4, and he's going to win the most races this year. However, I have a theory that tragedy will strike at Phoenix. Hopefully not like a crash. I'm just simply saying that, again, he's going to miss the championship and he will finish 4th at Phoenix. Not necessarily 4th on track, but he will end up finishing 4th in the standings for the NASCAR Cup Series. I think Christopher Bell is going to be the hottest driver this year. Potentially finish 2nd in the regular season standings to our next driver that we will be featuring here. But he is going to be sorely disappointed in that Championship 4. And here's the regular season champion. It's going to be Chase Elliott for prediction number 5. I believe Chase Elliott is going to only increase his consistency. He's been a little bit quiet in the offseason, but I think that bodes well for Chase Elliott. I hope he's been doing his hobbies and doing whatever it is he needs to do to get in mental shape, but he really blew out my expectations for last year. If you guys want to take a look at the 24 prediction video, but he definitely rose above my expectations for last year. Wasn't able to make the championship for, but Chase Elliott was the most consistent driver and just barely didn't win the regular season championship. I believe Chase Elliott will win that regular season championship due to his consistency, and he's just going to barely miss that championship for. I do think he makes the Elite Eight. So that brings us to prediction number 6, and probably the most courageous prediction, because this really requires you to just take a pick, and that's going to be number 6, which is that Mr. Ryan Blaney is going to be your 2025 NASCAR Cup Series champion. Ryan Blaney probably could have won this year's championship as well, and I think he is the hottest driver of the last 2 years. By far, in my opinion, won the 2023 NASCAR Cup Series championship, and in 24, he actually did perform very well, and I think this is going to be the year that Ryan Blaney is going to win his second championship. I think he will end up having the car to beat at Phoenix. I will say Penske Racing, they've got their cars in a really good spot for Phoenix. But if we are being within the meta, I do think that Joey Logano is not going to make the championship for, simply because it's an odd numbered year. And that brings us to prediction number 7. The last entry in our championship 4 is going to be Mr. William Byron. So William Byron, I think has some distractions in this offseason. Let's just be real. He's newly single. He's probably having some fun this offseason, and good for him. You know, he's playing the field, whatever he's got to do. But I think that doesn't bode well necessarily for the first half of William Byron's season. I think it's going to take him a little bit, but as someone who I think is probably the most, at least one of the top 3 most talented drivers in the series, I think he's going to struggle at first, and then he'll ultimately make that playoffs, and he is going to really, really step it up, make that championship 4, and he's going to finish the 2025 NASCAR Cup Series season 3rd in points with a good showing at Phoenix, but not enough to take that title. For prediction number 8, it sucks and it's sad to say, but I think guys like Kyle Busch and Austin Dillon are going to have a tough year. I don't see this team having any hype to them. I don't see Austin Dillon taking the next step in his career. I just simply don't see that. And I don't think that Kyle Busch, although he is probably still one of the best drivers in the league, don't think that makes up for the problems that you're seeing inside of RCR. Unfortunately, I think it's going to be a tough year for them. Although I do think Kyle Busch will outperform his teammate by at least 5 or 6 spots in the points, but it pains me to say, but I don't think Busch will even make the playoffs. I think he'll be about a 20th place guy this year. I just think there's too much money and there's too much competition for them to compete this year. And I think Austin Dillon is going to finish at least low 20s to 30s in the points, unfortunately. So number 9, this one is interesting, guys. Chastain. Okay, I really love Chastain and I want to see him win, but I do think there's some stuff going on behind the scenes that are not really going to allow Ross Chastain to be the driver that he wants to be. Now, what do I mean by that? I think Ross Chastain is a very outspoken guy and kind of has the proclivity to maybe put his fender where it shouldn't be and maybe go a little bit too hard, kind of a checkers or wreckers mentality. So I just don't think that a driver like that, when he's kind of, let's just say, forced to tone it down, is going to really have that drive and inspire his team to make a good year. However, I do think he starts to rise somewhere around the middle of the season, specifically during the tournament, so late regular season, and he will make the playoffs. He will advance into the round of 12, but he will not make the Elite 8, which is a disappointing year. I think this is a guy that, with his talent, should be making, or be a threat at least, to be in the championship for year after year. So let's go into the final prediction before we get into our bonus prediction. So that's number 10. And I think AJ Allmendinger is going to impress at Kaulig Racing. I think during the year, he could very well win a road course, which would lock him into the playoffs. I think that could happen. And I think he will be pretty impressive on tracks like Kansas and stuff like that. So if you look at a track like Kansas and even New Hampshire, he is a good short track racer. So the round of 12 this year is going to be Kansas, New Hampshire, and then finally the Roval. I think if he makes the playoffs, he could end up advancing to that Elite 8 with a Roval win. This guy is a road course ringer. The dinger is a ringer. And let's get into number 10, part 2 for colleague racing, which is, unfortunately, although AJ Allmendinger will probably do very well in my prediction this year, I think Ty Dillon is going to finish 30th or worse in the standings this year. I think it's just, I don't see him, again, taking that next step up in his career. I think it's going to be a tough year for Ty Dillon. Now, let's get into our bonus prediction, which is that Connor Zilisch and Shane Van Gisbergen, that's tough one to pronounce, Shane Van Gisbergen, are going to finish 1 and 2 at Circuit of the Americas this year. That's going to be the 3rd race on the calendar. I think it's going to be a very interesting race. Although they're not full-time in Cup yet, I think this is going to be a very interesting year for SVG. Sorry, a very interesting race for SVG and Connor Zilisch. I don't know which of them are going to finish 1st and 2nd, but I just see it that it's going to be, maybe Larson will finish 3rd or something like that. But COTA, I think this is a track that both of them do very well at. If you looked at Zilisch last year in the truck race, did he win COTA? No, he didn't win COTA. I don't think. He was a threat to, I'm not sure. You guys are going to have to tell me down below. Did he win COTA in the trucks? All I remember is he was very, very impressive for COTA in the trucks, and he won Watkins Glen in Xfinity. So seriously good driver. He will be one to watch, as well as Shane Van Gisbergen at COTA. So final thoughts on this year. I think it's going to be an interesting year. I'm hoping that the racing as far as passing will be a little bit better than last year. I'm interested to see what they do as far as the tire packages, just putting more fall off so that the drivers can really just have, I want the races to be harder. I think that, you know, some drivers were coasting a little bit last year. The main thing I hope is that NASCAR finally comes up with a better system for 26. So I'm looking forward to that. And with that being said, guys, I'm looking forward to this season, starting with the Daytona 500. I will see you guys soon on a video to come regarding the Daytona 500. And if you guys have any predictions, let me know down in the comments. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video. I will see you guys on the next edition of ZBC Racing. And with that being said, guys, ciao for now.